The most useful and practical technique or approach in solving engineering economic problem, especially using Microsoft Excel. Now, I do not think that it makes any sense to use the equations and the tables anymore if you have the Microsoft Excel available, because using the equations and the tables, there will be a lot of chance of computation error. And a lot of time you'll see in the textbook, in most textbooks, they will show you different techniques of minimizing the computation error, because they are basically suggesting you to use the equations and the table. Now, when you use Microsoft Excel, all the computations are done by Excel. So you really don't have to do any computation. So I will show you the easiest way to basically solve most engineering economic problem using Microsoft Excel. So let's start with a very easy, simple example. Let's say we got some period of cash flow. Let's say 0, 1, 2. So first thing you're going to be creating is the cash flow table. Traditionally in Excel, it is in using the formulas or equations, as the most textbook shows. You use the cash flow diagram. In Excel, we use cash flow table. So for example, you're going to buy, say, a car for, you're going to invest, say, $10,000 today, and say the project will take the first year to build, so you're not gonna get anything. For example, in second year, maybe you'll get 2,500, and every year you will get 2,500, and maybe at the end of the sixth year, you get about, say, $3,000 salvage value of the project, and that you can sell to somewhere. So let's say these are the cash flow at different time points. Now, because all the computation will be done by Excel, so we really don't care about the computation. So we'll calculate the present worth in this case, or present value, for each of these cash flow. For example, to calculate the present value of this cash flow after 6 years, we can simply write the PV function, which is the present value function. It is asking for rate, number of period, and so on. So I'm going to create here, let's say the interest rate is 10%. I'm going to write here some rate or so, and then say we convert this to rate, present value of, say, at 10% rate. I'll freeze that because I'll be using that again and again for each of these different periods. And then number of periods, so after 6 period, in this case, so for this $5,500, that is compounded 6 times. So this is the cash flow after 6 years, future value after 6 years. There is no payment involved here because we are only converting that future value into the present value in today's dollar. And this is the future value. We're going to select that. And then interest is compounded at the end of the period. And we can simply copy this all the way here. This will give us the, so this is basically, so you can see that $3,000 is the value in today's value. Something that you get after 6 years, the value of $3,000 is $5,500 at a 10% rate. Now, as you can see here, this red mark within parentheses is a negative value. To make it positive, I'll show you. So if you format like that, you can see that this is a negative value. So you can format like that. Now, in Excel, it thinks that, okay, if you get $5,500 after 6 years, then you'll have to invest something today. So the money, that $5,500 is coming to you from some investment that you make today. So money going out from you, that's negative. So Excel will give you the exactly opposite. To make it the same sign, just use a negative sign before that $5,500. So this will be now the same. So remember, this is a common mistake in the exam. So to get the same sign or cash flow, you'll have to use the opposite sign in Excel. Again, this you can see the cash flow of $2,500 after 5 years. The value in today's dollar is about 1,500. So you can calculate all the present value for each of these cash flow. Now, one of the things you have to be careful. Now, see, this $5,500 is the cash flow after 6 years. However, this 3,000 is the cash flow at year 0. 1,500 cash flow year 0, 1,700 cash flow year 0. All of this cash flow is at year 0. So you have to be careful on this piece. Now, the total present value, you can see simply here, you can calculate the total present value by summing up this column. That will give you the total present value, which is 309, a positive value, meaning that at 10% rate, this is a good investment. Now, if you want to calculate the future value of that, you can also do that. Simply, you can type FV. That will give you the future value at a 10% rate. We got 6 years compounding. There is no payment involved. We are only converting this 309 present value to future value, and then 0 is the end of the year compounding rate. If you want to calculate, so you can see that at 10% rate, something that is $308 today is going to be $547 after 6 years. If you want to calculate the payment or period cash flow, periodic cash flow, then you can period cash flow. So I'm going to write this. So you can simply type that function called PMT, and then this rate. We are going to compound 6 times present value. You can select that. Just select one. Don't select that future again. So that's gonna basically give you 0 if you do that. And then type is at the end of the period compounding. So it's going to be $71 for each of these periods. So now again, if you want to get this positive to positive, you'll have to use the negative sign before that. For this, again, same thing. You'll have to, because Excel thinks that if you give a positive number to the formula, it will give you a negative number. So Excel thinks that if you give a positive number, that means you are getting the money from someone, and then at some point you'll have to pay it back. So Excel will give you the negative cash flow. So it will give you the opposite sign. Now go back to the original question. So basically, anytime you see a problem, you develop the cash flow table first, like this, and then next you find the present value for each of these cash flow, and then you sum up that present value. That will give you some idea. So at that present value, if it's a positive number, it's nice and a smooth project. We'll see more in the next module on these topics. This is primarily basically to find the cash flow diagram in Excel, or develop the cash flow diagram first, and then convert it to present value basically, and then you can convert that present value to future value or periodic cash flow and so on. If you use Microsoft Excel in solving problem, this is probably the easiest way. But in most problem, if you use manual calculation and the formula and the table, generally the periodic cash flow make more sense, or it reduces the computation. However, in Excel, you're not really doing the computation. Excel is doing the computation. So you can basically make Excel to do the work for you. So I hope this makes sense. This will come again and again. So it's going to be more and more clear as we solve more problem using this technique.